So welcome everybody, and during this meeting, your microphones will be all mute. When you want to say something after Sister Gabriella presentation, you can raise your hand or you can write in the chat session that I will take care of it. So welcome everybody. We are approaching the UN World Day Against Human Trafficking, and this is the first reason why we are here. But the second one is that we are going to, we are preparing, USG is preparing the 21st General Plenary for 2019. And today, Sister Carmen, we sent out your convocation, your letter of convocation to everybody. So make sure that your Superior General receive it. Otherwise, we will send it out again. During the plenary, we will talk about the UISG projects, and Talita Kum, the project, the network on networks against human trafficking, is one of them. So thank you, Sister Gabriella, to accept, you know, to be the first one, the first webinar on, you know, updating the members of the UISG and the friends of UISG about our project. Sister Gabriella is a Comboni sister. She's the coordinator of Talita Kum from 2014 or 15, Gabriella? 15. Okay, so it's almost during the plenary will be 4 years. So you have enough, you had enough time to, you know Talita Kum and to improve Talita Kum. We can, Gabriella, can you remind us the name of the first coordinator, the Filipino sister? We can't remember, and some of us know her.
I think I have to remember 2 persons. The first one is Sister Bernadette Sagma. Both are Salesian sister and passed away both. Sister Bernadette was the one in charge to start the project that at the end brought to the establishment of the worldwide network. And the Sister Estrella Castalone, Filipino sister, also a Salesian sister, was the first coordinator of Talita Kum before me here in Rome. Yeah, I think we have to mention both.
Thank you, Sister Gabriella. So you're a successor of a very important legacy. So, but we know, all of us know that you are doing a huge work to make, on this very difficult field. So we are very happy to listen to you. So if you start to share your screen, you can start your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you, Patrizia, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. When we are in a worldwide network, really the time is quite complex and all around the world. The work that we are doing here at the UISG is trying to coordinate the work of religious women all around the world. So I always say, I am not Talita Kum. The UISG office, without the work of hundreds of sisters around the world, it has no meaning. So the most important work is done really at the grassroots and in many countries, and more we are working and collaborating together. And I think it was the basic idea of Talita Kum, and this is what I am trying, and we are trying to do here as the UISG to implement this. So let us start with a prayer. Okay. This is the prayer that Pope Francis wrote for the meeting we had in February 12th of this year, when he gave to all the participants of the International Day of Prayer and Awareness Against Human Trafficking an audience. So a group of sisters representative of the group organizing the Worldwide Day here in Rome was with a group of youth to Pope Francis because of of the work we had done here in Rome. So let us pray together. Saint Josephine Bakhita, you were sold into slavery as a child and endured unspeakable hardship and suffering. Once liberated from your physical enslavement, you found true redemption in your encounter with Christ and his church. O Saint Josephine Bakhita, assist all those who are entrapped in slavery. Intercede on their behalf with the God of mercy, so that the chains of their captivity will be broken. May God himself free all those who have been threatened, wounded, or mistreated by the trade and trafficking of human beings. Bring comfort to survivors of this slavery and teach them to look to Jesus as an example of hope and faith, so that they may find healing from their wounds. You ask you to pray for us and to intercede on behalf of us all, that we may not fall into indifference, that we may open our eyes and be able to see the misery and wounds of our many brothers and sisters deprived of their dignity and their freedom. And may we hear their cry for help. Amen.
Gabriella, I'm sorry, just to interrupt you, but I see other people join us. So just for you to know that we are recording this video. So if you don't want to appear in the video, please close your video camera, because we will share the video, the recorded video, in our YouTube channel. Sorry, Gabriella.
Thank you, Patrizia. I think it's a very important, this information is very important. First, I would like to give you some information about trafficking, at least what is the observation we are doing here in Rome in the international desk. And then I would tell you what was the work of the network, what we are trying to do to implement the priorities of the network together. The first element is the question of trafficking on migration. Trafficking and migration was the topic, the theme of the International Day of Prayer and Awareness. And we had chosen this because of the Global Compact on Migration and Refugees. We are working together with other church organizations, with the section Migrants and Refugees, with some dicastery of the Vatican, but also with other NGOs like Catholic organizations like Caritas Internationalis and the World Union of Catholic Women Organization. And we said that trafficking and migration was really a very important issue to be studied deeply. And the 4 mileposts for action that Pope Francis gave to the world church are according to these 4 actions that are welcoming, protecting, promoting, and integrating. I think that the reality of migration and trafficking is a very actual, is a very important issue for today. Many things in the international politics of migration is changing. More and more the borders are closed, and more it's difficult for migrants to reach the destination countries, and human rights are more and more violated in this field. It is really something new for us, at least in Europe. And what is the impact of this new attitude? Mainly, I'm speaking now for Italy. What is the impact on trafficking in person? It is something that we should observe. I know that some European countries are still thinking in deporting back to Italy, and what will be happen with these people that will be deported back to Italy, that they were passed through Italy and were trafficked from many African countries to other European throughout Italy. What will going on this, we do not know. But the same, I would say, what is going on with the situation of the separation of the families at the border with Mexico and US? What is going on with the children there? How is the risk on trafficking? We do not yet have information, but I think it is something that we have to be aware and try to identify further violation of human rights, and mostly how to identify and to protect the victim of trafficking in this context. So I think that it is one of the points in these days. We are also in dialogue with the section Migrants and Refugees to organize a meeting to collaborate also among Catholic organizations to prepare together the work of the Catholic Church toward the implementation of the Global Compact on Migrants and Refugees, and trafficking is one of the topic on this, and how to do that together, and how we can strengthen together, and how we can really support each other so that the Global Compact could be really implemented and respected. So this is one of the very important point that I think we have to in this moment. The other one is the profile of trafficked person that I would like to highlight. These stories of a victim of people that were trafficked was usually people that were lured, that they got an invitation to go to work as a social in a hotel or whatever, and then when they arrived at the destination, they found themselves in situation of prostitution. And it is, let me say, the classical narrative of stories of trafficking, and it still exists, but more and more all around the world, not only, at least this, I knew I came for prostitution is something that I was used to listen when I was in Brazil, because the girls, they knew about it, but it was not common in Europe. Or when I went in 2015 to visit our network in South Asia, the narrative was still people that were invited for work and then they found themselves in prostitution. But now more and more, the network are reporting situations that the people knows. So that the issues of the consent of people that are trafficked is changing and is challenging us, because we know they are really in situation of trafficking, but more and more they do not recognize themselves, and the chains bringing these people in a situation of slavery is more and more the need of money, the need of have a better life. And the only way they have to do that is through prostitution or sexual exploitation, selling their own body, because the only thing that they have is the body. And this is really something we are observing. And I was in touch with a journalist some days ago, and she said, "Oh, but this is really very difficult, Sister Gabriella, to understand, because if they are willing, how we can define them as victim of trafficking?" And I think we should be able to, as a network, to help people to understand what slavery is today and how is the impact of this socio-economical context, and how people are really enslaved, but from this mentality of consumerism, and how they have to use their own body in order to survive in this context. The other element that I am observing, and I think that we as religious women, we are making a difference, that more and more the discussion on trafficking in person is moving from the situation of women versus men. So more and more the focus is on the supply chain, and we know that of course women are also a big number, but the share of women and men is bigger if we speak about sexual exploitation, domestic servitude, or forced marriage, where the women, they reach more or less more than 90% of the global number of victims of trafficking, while when we speak about supply chain and forced labor, we are a bit more than 50%, including domestic servitude. But we know how difficult it is then to make a policy on the supply chain in the domestic servitude, because we are entering in a private area. And so how important it is the work that we are doing, because we are really raising our voices in remembering trafficking, and let me use a word, but understanding the correct way, in a gender-based context, where women are really, for us, a very important element. And we know that women are the biggest group of traffickers. Keep the attention alive, also promoting a systemic view of trafficking in person, presenting the complexity of the phenomena. And it was very interesting what Pope Francis said during the audience we had, how important it is to help people to understand the root causes of trafficking, because it's not only, we cannot see only the superficial elements. We have to understand what is going on, and deeper, what are the causes of trafficking. And this is what we are trying to do, is not really, we have to be able to speak about the connection also of the different level of exploitation. The human, of course, it is the main one when we speak about trafficking, but also the environmental and many other exploitation. All of these are leading the exploitation of life, and they are interconnected, and we cannot really divide one from the other. So this is a sharing from my point of view as coordinator of this worldwide network, which are the points that I think we have to be aware, and we have to continue to work together as religious women. And I know that most of us are working on this. So I take also this opportunity to thank many of us that all around the world are really working with bringing their life. They are dedicating their life on not only for survivors of trafficking, for people that are suffering the violence of this crime, but also to prevent, to try to understand the phenomenon, and all of this.
Gabriella, sorry. I would like to give just 1 second to Michelle, who wrote in the chat. So, Michelle, can you share what you wrote?
Well, yes, it's really traumatizing, because we are trying to work, Catholic Charity in San Antonio, and also Catholic Charity in McAllen at the border, were designated to help to reunite families, who have been separated, but also families who were sent before the zero tolerance in some detention centers here in Cairns and Delays, the big detention centers near San Antonio. No, now, you know, we are receiving, actually, since 2 days, I am in San Antonio, going Monday to McAllen and Reynosa, the other side of the border, to see what is going on, but help also, you know, some organization there. The problem is really, you know, they're supposed to be reunited, the 2,500 kids supposed to be reunited before the 26th. This is the date the administration gave. The problem is we do not see that will be happening because, you know, it's really, you know, 100, 200 families till now who have been reunited. So this is a big number. And yesterday, for example, here in San Antonio, I was in the airport, you know, trying to help people, you know, who had already their papers and everything, by Catholic Charities and also by a detention center and a private organizations to get to, you know, what it is. You know, this is people coming from Central America and trying to get to their destination, and mostly going to the East Coast of United States. It's amazing. New York, Philadelphia. So it is, you know, really, and it's not, it is a small number comparatively at the 2,500. Even if we try to reunite, you know, a day, 100, they will not be finished before the 26th. So yes, it is. And till now, we did not hear anything about human trafficking because people are very discreet about it. But I'm quite sure that something like this happened on their way to come to the border of the United States, and maybe after here in the country, being at the border.
Thank you, Sister Michelle. And it's clear after listening to Sister Gabriela that there's a huge suffering and huge, I mean, really a suffering, a human suffering behind this huge phenomenon. So thank you, Gabriela. You can continue.
I think I would now pass, if there are some question or reflection to be shared, I will now pass to the area to share a bit what Talitha Kum is doing, and specifically on the project.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that many of you knows we still have registered 22 networks in 76 countries in the 5 continents. But we are working on a database. We will see later, because we have to renew it to understand really the network is increasing, is often not in the number of the country, but inside of one country, the network is growing. For example, yesterday, 3 days ago, I got the email from Argentina that now they are organized in groups, and they were able to implement the network at regional level inside Argentina. So to say how the network is growing, not only in different countries, but also inside one country. And it is a very important element for us. How we are organized? Of course, we are part of the UISG, where there is an executive board. The president of the UISG, Carmen, is here on this webinar. And then the director, there is Talitha Kum Rome, has an international coordinator, is myself. Now we have an assistant. And we are working closely with the staff of the UISG in a special way, with Patrizia Morgante for the communication and Eileen for the administration issues. Since last year, we have an international coordination committee supporting the work that we are doing with a representative for Africa, Sister Patricia Beck-Poulen, for Asia, Sister Adel Abamo. For the Americas, we have 3 sisters, Carmela Gibaya for Latin America and Ostrike. sorry, the name is wrong here on, sorry, Anne. It's for the USA, and Nicole Riveau for French-speaking Canada. We have a representative for Europe, Sister Imelda Poole, and for Oceania, Sister Colleen Jackson. And then the network has also one representative for each country where there is a Talitha Kum network. So this is the organizational chart, let me say in a very simple way. And these are key persons for the organization of the network at the worldwide level. We have also contact through the US Catholic Sisters Against Human Trafficking, our network in the USA with the RAN, our religious at the United Nations. And of course, through the network are increasingly connected with the local conference of religious, as I am in part of the UISG. We ask also to the local network to be really in touch with the national conference or regional conferences of religious. And then more and more we are strengthening collaboration with other church organization, with the bishop, the local bishops, the bishop conference, and other organizations in the countries. What we are working. So first of all, we are working to establish and to strengthen collaborations effort, of course, between sisters, but as I said before, with many other organizations. And we are trying to promote cooperation and connection at all levels. So in this time, we are working, we worked a lot at national level as Talitha Kum Rome to implement the national networks in Africa. And in November, we will go to Cameroon for the training. Burkina Faso started the network, and they are planning a workshop there. Ghana established the network last May. Kenya is in dialogue with Talitha Kum, as Uganda and Malawi. Mozambique will have the training in June 2019, is still planned. In Zimbabwe, they have the network. Before they have a representative under the South African network city, and now they have a local owned network. You can say, why only in Africa? Because it was a priority that we set together to implement. But I know that also in Asia, the network was spreading out with the involvement of the Asian network. So I know that Japan started the network, but with the commitment of the group in Southeast Asia. And at regional and continental level, we are working together in order to implement better the coordination and the growing also of the network in some region, and in a special way in Asia with the Sister Adel Abamo. We are doing this work, and then the connection between Latin, North, Central and South, Center and North America. And the sisters in that region are working strongly, and the work started in 2016. And next October, in the USA, we will host the first continental or hemispheric meeting with representatives of all the networks in the Americas. And Sister Anne Ostreich is here on this webinar. I saw her, and she is coordinating the huge work, and it is really a very important meeting for us, because we have to understand one each other, and it is very important for us to know what is going on and to share information, but also to learn one each other and to try to develop common strategies in working against trafficking in person. At the global level, we are trying to work strongly the identity of Talitha Kum. And next year we will have the assembly in 2019, and it will be a very important event to work on this, because when we speak about Talitha Kum at the very beginning, it was very easy for me to, are you a member of Talitha Kum? Oh no, I'm a member of Renate, or I am a member of the US Catholic Sister, I am a member of Amrat in India, I am a member of Red Kausai in Peru, and we didn't know that these networks were members of Talitha Kum. What we are trying to do is to respect and to improve and promote the local identity and the different networks in Talitha Kum, but at the same time to recognize that we are under the umbrella of Talitha Kum, and we are growing together as a worldwide network. And this is a work that we are doing, and it is really very nice to see how is increasing. And for this, it played a very important role, the International Coordination Committee that we established last year. Networking at global level, but also at national and regional level, increasingly we are network and collaborating with other church organizations. We are started a pilot project with Caritas Internationalis and WUCFO, the World Union of Catholic Women Organization, for a common project in Malawi, South Africa, and Eswatini. It's really a very challenging project, but we are trying to start from the very beginning in the respect of the diversity, a common project there. Our network in South Africa is representing Talitha Kum, because we are also decentralizing. We are trying to improve communication and dialogue, but also empowering the regional network in representing Talitha Kum in that context. We have also contact with the embassies to the Holy See and donors and foundation at the global level. Okay, this is what we are trying to do to implement networking as a priority of Talitha Kum worldwide. Communication. In 2016, we realized that one of the points we had to implement was really communication. And we set as priority to organize data collection from network members in order to maximize communication and to exchange of information, data, and good practices. We worked on it, and yesterday we were able to present the first official draft. Is quite a final draft of the database. It's a very user-friendly. It's a very simple tool trying to collect the basic information we need to present what Talitha Kum, who Talitha Kum is, and which are the main activity, but also trying to understand which are the good practices, the things that we need to share among us, and not only, and also with the people external. And then we are implementing also the Talitha Kum internal communication strategic plan, and who is volunteering is Sister Bernadette Reis, a Paulino's sister, working with us, because we have really to grow on this. Then we, the other priority, it was to create conditions to give greater visibility to human trafficking including through analysis, reflection, and activity of Thalita Kum. Of course, it will be a follow of the database, so we are working on this. The Pontifical University Gregoriana is partners, and they will be help us also in writing scientific articles and documents on this. But to implement this priority, we are, Patrizia was a very important, a key person to develop the contact with journalists and other stakeholders to give the opportunity to speak about trafficking, also with the media. And then, of course, the 10th anniversary of Thalita Kum will be a very important event to implement this point.
Gabriella, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's a question. I think it's worthy you answer immediately because it's connected with the database. Tom is asking if you are collecting data on Thalita Kum activities or data on levels, types of trafficking. Both are very useful, but which is the goal of the database?
Thank you for the question. The database is we are developing it according to the needs and what we define together as network. We started with the census of the network. We need first to understand who Thalita Kum is and what we are doing. And there is a quite complex organization of Thalita Kum. So we are starting with the basic element. What we will be able to do in the future is a work that we have to do together, but we are not yet ready to collect, for example, the profile of victim, the situation of trafficking. What we are collecting now are the kind of activity that the networks are developing, the kind of how many people they are reaching out, and very simple and short description on this. And among that, the activity, there is also prosecution and protection of survivors. So we will be, I hope we will be able to identify how many people we were able to work with, but not the profile, not yet. We started with a very basic and data collection, and then what we will discuss with the network's member, and we will try to see what it is possible to collect and how to do that and how to implement.
Thank you, Gabriella. I hope for Tom is clear. Otherwise, as Tom has done, you can write your questions on the chat room, but before closing the webinar, we will give a time, for you to comment and ask questions directly to Sister Gabriella. So Gabriella, you can continue.
Yeah, the other request for Thalita Kum Rome, it was to create courses, workshops, and seminars to promote the qualification of members of Thalita Kum in the service of leadership. And we started in February, the first training course for Thalita Kum leaders. And it was, we had the first residential phases, and then the second will be in at the end of the month of January 2019. And it was really a very, very successful event. I think that we were able at that time to identify a real need. A good network needs also people, and when we speak about leadership in a network, is not only the coordinator, but people that they are really able to think and to be in the network as a networks leader with this networks identity, with the promoting collaboration at all levels, not only among sisters, but with many other organizations. and really it was very interesting to see the change of the participant from the beginning at this stage. Now they are developing an individual project, and they will present the project, they will realize their project in the network. So it's a training focused on, we are giving them support to implement this project in their network. So it is a mix up of theory and practice. So what Talitha Kum is a huge challenge. It was a huge challenge, but also a very interesting experience, because we are working together with the Pontifical University Antonianum. The course is, and with other universities, and the course is at the university level. So we are trying to bring together the needs of the university and the needs of the people at the grassroots, trying to grow together in, and it's really very, very interesting. And I have to say that Sister Mary Meloni, the rector of the Pontifical University Antonianum, is is giving a huge support to us, and it's a great experience. I gave you before the list of, here you have the list of the training we still planned, and the request we received from the Caribbean and the Pacific Islands. So we hope we will be able to implement these two training in after the Talitha Kum Assembly in 2020. But only to know, and more and more are asking for formation also, not only for the training to establish the Talitha Kum network, but also to like a follow-up workshop to support the growing of the network after the training. Participation in research and study, I think it was a beautiful dream. We are working on this. We have very, very few experience. One of these is this common project that it is starting now in South Africa. And since September will be more active, and it is this joint project, and they are trying to study the situation of a trafficked person from Malawi in South Africa. So let us see what is going on there. I'm very excited and very happy in seeing what they are able to do. And of course, the evaluation of the network to prepare the Talitha Kum Assembly could be part of this, but we are still working on this. And then we have also another study, and it is the project Wells of Hope, to know the reality of trafficking in person in the Mediterranean basin. Yeah. But we are still working on this, but the project are still approved, and I hope in one we can really give this the outcomes. The geographical scopes that we had as priority was Africa and the Middle East. So for this reason, you can understand also why some projects are there, and why I didn't speak so much about Europe or Asia. It doesn't, or Latin America. It doesn't mean that they are not doing a great work. They are, but it was not a priority of Talitha Kum. So it's more, what I'm trying to do is to promote and to connect really at over continental areas. For example, we are in dialogue between Oceania and Asia to improve collaboration, but it's a very, very little work done, mainly to probably we will be able to implement the collaboration for the training in the Pacific Islands, because the reality of Southeast Asia, of the island in Southeast Asia, is more similar to the reality of the Pacific Islands than what is going on in Australia. But we are on this process. And I know that there are some contacts between Nigeria and Europe. There was some request, but we were not able to strengthen also connectiveness and relationship between Europe and Africa. Because when we are working at international level, so when two continental areas, so we are trying to develop a kind of common work together through Thalita Kum. But I know that the work done is really huge and very, very well done. So I think that I gave a bit a vision of what we are trying to work and which are the projects we are working here at the UISG at Thalita Kum.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. You were very, very clear, and you know, I was right. Your work is really huge, you know, and to keep on the same time all these different networks and collaboration is not easy. So thank you very much. You want to talk about the assembly now or at the very end?
Maybe at the very end, because it is opening for the future. I saw that there is another point, that it was the resources, that it is always one of the main points. We do not have money, we want sister, and please, Gabriela, ask to the General Superior or to the sisters in charge for the congregation to promote a full or part-time commitment of religious sisters into anti-trafficking networks. And we are doing this because at least the UISG is giving us a lot of space to present the work of the network. Many general superior are inviting me to speak about Thalita Kum, to present what Thalita Kum is. I know that also the dialogue between the network and the local conferences of religious is growing. We do not raise funds for the local network, but we support them. And one of the main ways to support is to train them and to empower them in order to make them autonomous in this work. And the training course for Thalita Kum leaders is one of the platform we have also to support the network in the fundraising process.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. This was one of the questions I had in mind, but I mean, I would like to leave a time for people. Gabriela, may I ask you to stop sharing your screen so we can see also the other faces? Okay, thank you, just for a short while. So I can see all of you on the same time. So if you want to ask questions or also comment, because I know that many of you have already experience in this field, have an expertise that you can share. So feel free to raise your hand. I can see the hand, you know, in the list, but it's difficult to ask questions with, I mean, just in face, because I can see you, all of you, you are, you know, a lot of people, and we are very happy. So I leave you just some seconds to reflect. Okay, Carmen. Okay, Carmen.
Hello. Okay.
I ask you to introduce briefly yourself. Don't take for granted that everybody knows each other.
So I'm Carmen Samut, and I'm actually the president of the UISG, also Superior General of the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa. And I would like to ask Gabriela a question. A few years back, couple of years back, our sisters in Tunisia, even one of our younger sisters in Tunisia, found a whole network of trafficked people from Ivory Coast. And they wrote a letter to joined with the White Fathers. They wrote a letter to the Archbishop, I think he is, of Yaoundé, and to the Bishop Secretary of the conference, of the Conference of Bishops, to say what was happening in Tunisia with the people from Ivory Coast and how they were suffering. Now, I received back an answer from the bishop saying, we would like to raise awareness here. It's true, why don't you come and do it? But we are not there. And we cannot, extend ourselves too much. I was wondering if there was a way when there are courses in Cameroon or Burkina, in neighboring countries, if they are also extended to other countries like Ivory Coast.
Thank you for sharing, Sister Carmen, because I know that the sisters in Burkina Faso, our referent in Burkina Faso, is in touch with some sisters in Ivory Coast. So maybe if we were able to give them the information and to ask them to get in touch with them or to involve the sisters there, we still plan, because the sister in Burkina Faso, they told us about some representative from Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, Mali, and Niger. They will attend a workshop in Burkina Faso in November. Thank you, Carmen. Now that's very important.
I don't know if there are other people who would like to ask some question. You can also ask the floor. Okay, Sister Linda. Can you just introduce yourself?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Sister Linda, an apostle of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I'm from the United States, but I'm living here in Sicily, and we are working with unaccompanied minor immigrants. In the process, we noticed that there are many Nigerian women that come here, and they come here under false pretenses. And I noticed in your list of African countries that there is not a Talitha Kum group in Nigeria. Does that still hold true, or are there other groups working with the women there?
In Nigeria, we have several congregations working there. There is a project, there are many things. Okay, there is the Talitha Kum networks, there is a shelter led by the Conference of Women Religious in Nigeria, and the name is Kosutu. The president of it is the president of the Conference of Religious, is also the president for the Talitha Kum network in Nigeria, and there are many congregations working in this field. Also in collaboration with governmental organization, and in a special way with NAPTIP and with the bishop conferences. So the Catholic Church is really organized in Nigeria to collaborate, and religious women are also working together in that field. There is also a project of association connected with the Italian network, and it is Slaves No More. The president is Sister Eugenia Bonetti, and Sister Monica Chique is working closely with her. And it is a project for volunteer repatriation, so for the Nigerian women that they decide to return to their own country, and Slaves No More, together with the Use Me and Renate, they are following this case, and the network and the religious sisters in Nigeria, they take over these women in a process of the healing process and repatriation, resocialization process. Okay. So there are, I know that is a very complex, there are many Nigerians. Some of the sisters are not working in the network because not all religious women are feeling themselves also part of the network, because we are a big family, and the membership of the network is free. So we cannot oblige. So I know that there are many and different realities. So probably you met someone, or there is someone of them that are not part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gabriela. I have 2 comments here in the chat. Chris is asking if, as you approach 10 years as Talitha Kum, what do you think is Talitha Kum's biggest accomplishment? And a comment from the Santa Marta group, Tom. Santa Marta group are also working with the Sisters of the Sacred Heart on some awareness raising in Edo State, Nigeria. Not sure if they are engaged in Talitha Kum. Gabriela?
Let me start with Nigeria, Tom. Hi, nice to see you. And of course, yes, the Santa Marta group, when I didn't mention, but it was part of this church commitment in Nigeria. When the Conference of Religious is involved, it means that all the congregations member of the conference are also part of the network. So they should be part. The big issues for us is always that one thing is to speak about collaboration. The other thing is to collaborate really. So they are but if they are really collaborating and sharing with the other congregation, I cannot really answer to you. I'm sorry, but they are, what I can say that the reality in Nigeria is changing. Before we had more groups, and now they are really implementing the network in this collaboration effort. So this is something that is going on. It is a very positive. Ooh, the biggest accomplishment for Talitha Kum. I think we have an internal one and external. The internal one is to improve in our, we are a worldwide network. We are growing a lot. How we can do really to grow in this membership and in this collaborative effort. We are doing a huge work, and I hope that the assembly will be, and the 10-year will be a time to evaluate honestly. It doesn't mean that we are good or worst. We have to see and to see the reality, and what could be better, what it was good, and we can implement more and more. And outside, I think that we have to take a time to understand what really is going on in the context of trafficking in person. In this changing and of the situation of the world, we should really to stop a moment and to understand what is going on really on trafficking.
Thank you, Gabriela. There is a comment. I know that some people have to leave, but I would like to say we were supposed to close at 3, but I think it's worth it to take some minutes more. But if you have to leave, please feel free to leave. And there is a comment here, religious sisters of charity are also working against human trafficking in Nigeria, engaging in awareness raising and networking with others. So I'm very happy of these comments, because one of the goals of these webinars, of this meeting online, is not just to learn something, but is to build up relationships and to know each other to be more effective. So thank you very much for your comment. I don't know if you have some other questions or short comments.
Patrizia, I saw Sister Rosé, she raised her hand.
Help me where she is. Can you help?
ACT, ACT.
Here. Sister? She mute her, okay. I'm not able to unmute her microphone. I'm sorry. I don't know. Sometimes we touch something and, and I'm not able to unmute your microphone. Okay, Gabriela, I don't know if you want to, before we close this meeting, if you want to say something about the anniversary, and then if we have some questions or comments, we can give some minutes more. So you can share again.
Let me. No, I think I have done a mistake. I'm sorry.
You have just to share your screen, but
yeah, no, but I forgot to share the screen. So,
okay. Gabri, give me just 1 minute to give the floor to Tom for a question.
Hello, sorry to interrupt very briefly. It would be lovely to hear what everyone is doing for the UN Day of Human Trafficking, so we can publicise some things that you are publicising too. I don't know if it's best to do that here or to do that afterwards.
Yeah, this is good. I thank you, Tom, and the Santa Marta group. I got today an information, but it's a private one. I asked to allow us to make this event public. So this is, it will be happen at the United States Nation. Is some of the sisters of the network are involved there for a book presentation. So as soon as I have the allowance of them, I will communicate. Thank you for remembering. And then
sorry.
See, Patrizia.
There are some other questions and comments, but if you want to continue.
What about we are sending a post for the 13th, that this online meeting, it was also part of it, but no specific activity. Usually the local network are doing this. Some of them are also informing us, sometime yes, sometime no, so let us see. But this is a work done, let me say, work done by the local networks, the celebration of July the 13th.
Gabriela, I would like just to give the floor, yes, Sister Yvonne, just a second, to Marjolene, because I'm not able to understand fully her comment. So if you can read it briefly, Marjolene, please.
Yeah, here I am. Do you hear me?
Yes, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Sister Marjolene, Dominican Sister of Bethany. I'm the Secretary General of the Union of Conferences, European Conferences of Major Superiors, but not in that quality. I was last week in Hungary, and there I spoke about human trafficking before 85 people from 11 countries. And I promised to send them flyers, information flyers, to prevent, to put in schools, in trains, in hospitals, because I know that we had them in the Netherlands in more than 50 languages. But SFTV in the Netherlands doesn't exist anymore. So I asked if there are at some place, perhaps Talita Kum, perhaps other participants from today, if they have some flyers so that I can send any. I promised, but I'm not sure that they exist still in the Netherlands.
Thank you very much, Marjolene. And I would like to give the floor to Yvonne, and then Gabriela, you can close. Answer.
Yes. Hi, I'm not a sister. I'm the director of the Pontifical Mission Societies in Portland, Maine. And I also am on the board of directors for Hope Rising, which is an organization run by St. Andre's Home by the sisters in Biddeford Pool. We work with victims of human trafficking. I have been in contact with the U.S. Catholic Sisters Against Human Trafficking. They came and did my mission appeal this year in Maine. One of my questions is, how can Talitha Kum help the small local organizations like the little one that I work with in Maine that helps so many victims? And what can we bring to the table to you, and what can you bring to us?
Just a second, Gabriela. Let's close the session of questions and then you can answer to all, because I would like, thank you, Yvonne. I'm sorry for I'm calling you a sister, but I'm used to it. I'm a laywoman.
I'm not offended. That's okay.
Thank you. I would like to ask Sister Anne, she's a sister, to share the news that she just wrote on the, because this is very important. Anne.
Yes. This is an activity that's connected to July 31st. We've been informed that Sister Angela Reed, who is part of RUN, Religious at the UN, and she represents the International Sisters of Mercy at the UN, will be releasing a new manual on human trafficking on July 25th. It's called Inherent Dignity. She'll be releasing that with a panel discussion live on Facebook. It will be at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the US, 90-minute presentation. And she said that after the presentation, the manual will be released online for everyone. So July 25th at 10 a.m. Eastern time in the US.
Thank you very much, Anne. This is a very good information, important information. So I would like, I don't know if there are very short and quick comments or questions, and then we can leave the flow. Okay. I'm not able to see any raised hands. Okay, Gabriela. So you can close answering some questions, and please also about the 10th anniversary.
Thank you. First of all, Marjorie, if the language are European languages, send them to Renate. If they are international languages, it means whatever English, French that we can share with other also continents, you can send them to Talita, but if it is Polish, Italian or whatever, maybe it is better to give to the European network or to the sister in that country. But I will be very pleased to do the work if you preferred it were better to send directly to us. About the request how Talita Kum can support the work of an organization in one country. Talita Kum in the US are the US Catholic Sisters Against Human Trafficking. So the content, and Anne is here, is online. So Sister Anne Ostreich is the contact for us. So let you keep in touch. And we are using the subsidiarity principle. If there is something that you need also with other, the connection with other countries because of repatriation project or whatever, Sister Anne will contact me and we will support you in this kind of work. But the first step is the contact with the local network, and through the local network with the wider organization of Talita Kum. So I thank you, Patrizia, for pushing me to this online section. I think I'm very glad and pleased. I can see many of you, many of the sisters also, and the people that are member of the network in many parts of the world, from Asia to the United States, so from Americas and many others, Europe and whatever. So thank you very much for the work, and I would like to share the last slides, and it is towards the 10th anniversary of Talita Kum, and we plan at international level to celebrate, to evaluate, and to plan. And we will be present at the plenary assembly of the UISG that will be in May, and then of course our assembly. The last assembly we had in 2009, when the sister asked to the UISG to establish the office here in Rome. So after 10 years, I think it is important for us to meet again and to try to study together what is the present, but also the future of our commitment against human trafficking. So,
thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much, because this was the goal of this webinar, is to learn more about the projects of USG, but also to strengthen the collaboration, to know each other, because the complexity of our world doesn't now allow us to work by ourselves. So thank you very much. You have the support. We were more than 40 people, so you have a huge support at the personal level, but also for the project. So thank you very much, Gabriella, but it's not the last one, because we will have more also in other languages. And before closing, I want to thank all of you and tell that we are going to next week, you will find in the Talita Kumbe USG website the posters that you can share on your social media, on your website. We prepared a very simple poster just to raise awareness for July, for the UN World Day Against Human Trafficking. So as Gabriella said, we are not going to have an event, but just an opportunity to raise the awareness against human trafficking. And we will also send the recorded video to all of you, even though you will find it in the website. We are not going to send by email. I'm not sure. So perhaps we don't have all your email, but you know, you will find it on Facebook and on our website. So thank you very much, Gabriella. As you can see on the chat space, people are thanking. So I want to just unmute all the people, even though it's not, where am I? Here, sorry. So you can thank Gabriella directly.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Thank you.
Gabriella and
Patricia. Thank you very much for your participation, and have a nice summer. And we will be online again for more events.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Some of us were in our pajamas.
Yeah, bye.
Some of us were in our pajamas.
Going around everybody.